What's up, spooky babes? I'm Taylor. Welcome to Let's Go Fright Seeing. I can't believe we are already halfway through January. I meant to get this video out earlier, but life, you know? But also, in the good news, is that a few extra things that were not on my list originally have gotten release dates, gotten updated trailers, there's been new announcements. I'm assuming you're a horror fan since you clicked on this video. We have a stacked year. I hope you're ready to be booked and busy at the theater. Over the last few weeks, I have been on a deep dive reading articles and watching trailers that are getting me so excited for all the horror movies hitting theaters in 2026. Also, what a relief that we're getting back to trailers that actually feel like a teaser instead of giving us full spoiler summaries that give away the entire story. Abigail 2024, I'll never forgive you. If you know, you know. Anyway, let's talk about horror movies coming out in 2026. I want to know what movie you're the most excited for, if there's any ones that I missed, and especially if you have any that are coming out that are like indie films that are going to be on Shudder or Netflix or straight to streaming. I want to hear all the horror things that you're looking forward to this year. January 2nd, We Bury the Dead starring Daisy Ridley hit theaters. It's always nice to see Daisy Ridley, and I am so stoked to see her in a horror movie. I want more of this. I think kicking off 2026 with a zombie apocalypse just feels right, and I can't explain it. On IMDb, the little blurb about We Bury the Dead says, after a catastrophic military disaster, the dead don't just rise, they hunt. Very spooky. Daisy Ridley plays Ava, a woman who uncovers a horrifying secret the government is trying to cover up. Yikes. I saw it already, I won't give anything away, but there's a military disaster that causes people to rise from the dead, and the government's like, no, it's fine. They're harmless. Typical. But then Ava goes on a mission to kick ass, and she's lovely. January 9th, we got Primate. Right from the trailer, I knew that this movie was going to be a banger. Here's the thing. I think that we have all heard stories, like if you listen to a lot of podcasts, if you are like on the internet, you're kind of in the weird spaces like I think you are. Again, if you're watching this video, we've all heard the stories of people who are like, I can have this wild animal as a pet and nothing bad will happen because I'm the exception. Oh no. From the poster and the tagline, there's something wrong with Ben, I was like, I was already scared, okay? And then I saw it in theaters. Go see it. If you can see it in a theater setting, I highly recommend it. It follows a family who has a pet chimp and something goes terribly wrong, and as you can assume, horror ensues. There was an article that I read about this movie because it came out for Fantastic Fest last year, and there was someone who was talking about it that said it's way gorier than you could have ever imagined. Can confirm. Go see it. It's amazing. And if you're seeing this later in the year, go watch it wherever it's streaming. Okay, now we are caught up to where everything is going to be new. January 16th, we've got 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. It seems like 28 Years Later had mixed reviews. Personally, I loved it. From what I've seen online, this movie will follow Spike as he starts doing ninja Teletubby time with our velour tracksuit wearing gang we met in 28 Years Later. That is a hell of a description, and if you haven't seen 28 Years Later yet, that won't make much sense, but I'm interested. If I'm being totally honest, and maybe some of you can change my opinion on this, if I'm being totally honest, the 28 Years Later movie worked really well for me. My least favorite part was the Teletubby ninja gang, but maybe I just need to get to know them better and then I'll become a big fan. Either way, I'm very excited for this one. I have tickets to see it in 2 days and I'm like counting down the minutes. Also coming out the same weekend as 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple is Night Patrol starring Jermaine Fowler and Justin Long. I'm super bummed because this is one of those movies that looks really intriguing and I'm really excited about, but it's not playing in a theater near me, and now I have to make the decision if I'm gonna go support this film and drive like 40 minutes to go see it, which I might. I do love me some Justin Long. This movie follows Justin Long, who is an LA cop trying to uncover a spooky secret being kept by a local task force. The trailer for this got me hyped and I think it looks so good. Justin Long's character takes a deep dive into the creepy nocturnal happenings threatening the neighborhood where he grew up. We've got regular old police violence, yikes, with a step into blood-sucking supernatural violence. This looks like a great action horror, which I feel like is kind of a unique take, and it feels like a fresh take on a familiar genre. And bonus, everyone in the cast is hot. January 23rd, we return to Silent Hill. Let's go. I was introduced to the Silent Hill movies in 2025, and I'm so obsessed. Get me back to that freaky little foggy town with the sexy monsters. You know what I mean? I have not played the video games. I'm an Animal Crossing type gamer girly, and I'm a chicken when it comes to horror games, but I do love a video game into a movie adaptation. Since I'm not attached the same way that some fans are, I don't have high expectations for this, but I truly hope that if you are a fan of the Silent Hill games, that this movie works for you. Return to Silent Hill follows a man named James who is called back to Silent Hill when he receives a letter from his long-lost love. When he gets there, everything is, of course, a disaster. Horror ensues and he questions if he's lost his damn mind, which he might have. January 30th brings us Iron Lung, which is based on a video game called Iron Lung. A couple video game movies back to back, I love it. This one looks like a very tense sci-fi horror. The IMDb byline says, in a post-apocalyptic future after the Quiet Rapture event, a convict explores a blood ocean on a desolate moon using a submarine called the Iron Lung to search for missing parts/planets. A blood ocean. So we're getting space and ocean, which is all very scary. Also, this is very cool and I want to support this because Iron Lung is an indie game and the director of the movie, Mark Fishback, aka Markiplier, is fully funding this film. Indie game, indie film, we love to see it. Also, like I said, I only play games on the Nintendo Switch Lite. This one is on there. Should I play it before I see the movie? Also, again, go support an indie movie that gets a theatrical release. That's a huge deal, very exciting. And then last but certainly not least for January, Send Help comes out January 30th. I believe this movie was talked about early in 2025, and I've been impatiently waiting ever since. Here's the thing about me, I'm a certified Dylan O'Brien lover girl, and I will be first in line no matter what the movie is. Luckily, starring next to him is the incredible Rachel McAdams in this Stuck on a Stranded Island horror movie. Personally, Stuck on a Stranded Island with Dylan O'Brien? However, in the movie, he is a total dick, and I can't wait to see what Rachel McAdams puts him through on this island because it looks like she's gonna do a Misery. You know what I mean? Also, music by Danny Elfman. We have the possibility of a 10 out of 10 here. You already know it's sitting at a 5 because Dylan O'Brien is there, and then it can only go up from there. Anyways, what's your thoughts? Heading into February, we've got the movie Whistle. This movie follows a high school student, Chris, who finds an Aztec death whistle in her locker. She recently moved to a small town from Chicago, and rumors are flying around that she killed her dad, or is a drug addict, or both, and now she's got cursed shit to deal with as terror sweeps the school. If you blow the whistle, death hunts you down. This one looks like it's potentially maybe a little campy cheesy, but in a fun way. I think this one will be one that catches people off guard. Like I said, looks kind of cheesy, but the cast is great. It was directed by Corin Hardy, who directed The Nun, so I think we've got, at least a very entertaining ride on our hands. And then February 7th, we've got more zombies. This Is Not a Test stars Olivia Holt, who I adored in Heart Eyes. She's playing a girl named Sloane, and her and a group of her classmates hide out at their high school while an apocalypse situation breaks out around them in their hometown. Based on what I saw in the trailer that just dropped this week, it looks like they decide to take fate into their own hands and try to fight their way out of the town. This one looks bloody and intense, and I'm really excited for it. And it's also based on the book This Is Not a Test by Courtney Summers, who wrote one of my very favorite books, Sadie. So there's a little book rec for you. And now that I know this is based on a Courtney Summers book, I'm having that war with myself of, do I read the book or do I go in with a blindfold on and just let it happen? Such a hard choice. February 13th, we get to see a bleach blonde Joe Keery in Cold Storage. This movie stars Georgina Campbell, who also has another horror movie coming out in February. Cold Storage is a horror comedy that follows Tea Cake and Naomi as they navigate a killer parasite that has been set loose at the storage facility where they work. They team up with a retired bioterror agent, played by Liam Neeson, in an attempt to save the world. This looks insane and so fun. February 20th, Psycho Killer hits theaters. I love a straightforward title, you know what I mean? Based on the trailer, I am prepared to be stressed. Psycho Killer, again, stars Georgina Campbell, who has a long list of horror movies in her roster. She plays a cop whose husband is killed in the line of duty, and she makes it her mission to hunt down the piece of shit who murdered him. She's gonna make it everybody's problem, and I'm here for it. He is, of course, a psycho killer, and based on the trailer, we've got some culty ritual shit, a scary mask-wearing villain, and some action elements, i.e. exploding cars, car chases, etc. It looks really good. Entering March, we get one of my most anticipated 2026 horror movies that was announced last year, The Bride, which again, I talked about last year in my 2025 horror movie lineup, but it was delayed, I think. So anyways, The Bride comes out on March 7th. This movie was written and directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal and has an insane cast lineup. I will let the official synopsis explain this one. The two reinvigorate a murdered young woman, and the bride is born. She is beyond what either of them intended, igniting a combustible romance, the attention of the police, and a wild, radical social movement. Here's one thing. I fear they're doing that thing where they're not priming the audience that this is like a movie that's a musical. It's very theatrical, musical, dancing, and people are going to be confused and mad. Personally, I'm super excited. It's been described as punk, wildly romantic, and featuring a big musical number. Is there potential for this to be my favorite movie of the year? Maybe, but I'm not going to place bets too soon. And the more we get into March, it's just shaping up to be one for the horror girlies, and I'm here for it. On March 20th, Forbidden Fruits hits theaters, and this one has a stacked cast. We follow a group of women who work in a clothing store at a mall who, after dark, run a witchy cult. let's go. I don't need to know anything else. This is listed as a horror comedy and I cannot wait to see this movie. March 27th, we get They Will Kill You. This one looks interesting and cool because it's coming from a new horror label called Nocturna. Nocturna will be run by Andy and Barbara Machete, who are the people behind the It franchise. Nocturna's focus is high-quality horror movies, and I think it's really cool to see studios wanting to focus on that and really push horror as a, important, amazing genre. We all know it doesn't get enough credit. Anyways, I have high hopes for their first horror movie, They Will Kill You. I think this one is going to be kind of a horror comedy based on what I saw. The Letterboxd synopsis says, quote, a woman answers a helped wanted ad to be a housekeeper in a mysterious high-rise in New York City, not realizing she is entering a community that has seen a number of disappearances over the years and may be under the grip of a satanic cult. Also on March 27th, we get one of my other most anticipated films, Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. First of all, aren't you glad they did the Here I Come for the Ready or Not sequel? I hate when franchises shy away from that kind of a thing. Just call it the weird thing. It's great. The cast for this is, of course, bananas. We've got our Scream Queen, Samara Weaving, back, along with Catherine Newton. We've got Sarah Michelle Gellar and Elijah Wood joining. The sequel brings in a new deadly competition where Samara Weaving and her sister are teamed up against 4 powerful families who were intertwined with the freaky in-laws from the first movie. I can't wait to rewatch the first one to prep for the second one. It's gonna be so good. I have seen people getting so stoked about this next one. April 17th brings us Lee Cronin's The Mummy. That's the official title. Smart to call it that so people aren't confusing it with the Mummy franchise, starring the delightful and wonderful Brendan Fraser. The synopsis says, the young daughter of a journalist disappears into the desert without a trace. 8 years later, the broken family is shocked when she's returned to them, as what should be a joyful reunion turns into a living nightmare. I am loving the classic monsters resurgence we're seeing in 2026. I couldn't find a ton of info on this one, but I'm very interested. It's definitely on my radar. On May 1st, we head to Ireland for Hokum. This one stars Adam Scott, who plays a writer that goes to Ireland to spread his parents' ashes, and when he gets there, unbeknownst to him, the inn where he's staying is haunted by a witch. I love a spooky Irish hillside. Let's go. May 15th, Obsession hits theaters. I saw the trailer for this at the theater recently, and they are doing a really good job, like I said at the beginning, giving us little teaser breadcrumbs that are tense and spooky. Obsession is about a man who wishes a beautiful woman will fall in love with him, but then things go horribly wrong when she goes bananas. June 12th, we are graced with Steven Spielberg's 37th movie, Disclosure Day. I think that we have all seen the trailer by now, and it looks chilling. We've got Emily Blunt starring in this UFO horror movie along with a very stacked cast. Disclosure Day is all about how the government has been hiding the existence of extraterrestrials. Yikes. And Emily Blunt and Josh O'Connor's characters want to expose the whole thing. It looks so good. I'm just in the mood for a good spooky alien movie. Also on June 12th, we get Scary Movie 6. This would be such a great double feature, Disclosure Day and Scary Movie 6. Go see them together. Scary Movie 6 is, of course, part of the franchise we all know and love from Marlon and Shawn Wayans. Scary Movie 5 came out in 2013, which feels like it was just yesterday, but was, yikes, 13 years ago. Anyways, Scary Movie 6 has a huge cast of OG favorites, and I'm sure will be wonderfully irreverent. I'm excited to see that one. So far, I've only seen one horror movie slated to hit theaters in July, which is Evil Dead Burn. I'm sure there will be more. This is going to be the 6th movie in the Evil Dead franchise, so I suppose it's time for me to catch up. Don't come for me. I only started watching horror movies in 2024, so I'm behind on a lot of franchises. I might go down this rabbit hole. I know it is so loved. There isn't a lot of info about this one just yet. Production is keeping very quiet about the plot line, but the director said that it's, quote, a film that hurts, from which you come away tested. Yikes. I will do my homework and catch up with this franchise before I go see this one. Then going into August, on the 14th, we will join Anne Hathaway and Ewan McGregor for a dinosaur movie. When I read that descriptor, originally I was like, what? So Flowerville Street is set in the 80s and is looking like a sci-fi horror, which I love. J.J. Abrams is one of the producers, and I guess there's been a lot of mystery and speculation about the actual plot. There is a whole Reddit rabbit hole I fell down because some people believe this could be tied to the Cloverfield franchise, but it's all speculation. We will see as more comes out about it. Flowervale Street is about a family living in 1980s suburbia when bizarre things start happening in their neighborhood, apparently including dinosaurs and maybe time travel. And then we've got another addition to a franchise I desperately need to catch up on. Again, I'm new here, okay? I'm late to a lot of parties. So Insidious is getting its 6th movie set to release on August 21st. Lots of franchises are getting number 6 this year, and that feels spooky. Here's the thing. I fell in love with Patrick Wilson as Ed Warren, and I love him just as much in the first Insidious movie, which I did watch at the end of 2025. So this installment does not have an official title or a plotline release just yet. Since I only watched the first one, I was scared to do too much of a deep dive and spoil the first 5 movies for myself. So I need to finish catching up on that, and then I can, really go for it. And then heading into the fall, Clayface comes out on September 11th. This one was written by Mike Flanagan. I'm a Flanistan over here, so I guess I will just watch whatever he gives us, and is directed by James Watkins, who directed the American adaptation of Speak No Evil, and The Woman in Black. Clayface is described as body horror that follows a B-list actor who injects himself with a substance to stay relevant, only to discover that he can reshape his face like clay. He injects himself with a substance, and then things go horribly wrong. It sounds like something we've already heard before, but I did a quick little Google just now because I was like, what do you mean it's just the substance again? I completely misunderstood. They buried the lead in the first article I read about this. It's a Batman villain, which you maybe already knew, but it's new to me. So this just got so much more interesting, and I appreciate DC for leaning into the horror side of things, and I hope this one performs well so we can get a bunch of true, like, horror-style movie villains. I apologize to the Batman comic fans. I was unaware of Clayface's game. September 18th brings us a Resident Evil reboot. Again, there are 7 movies in this franchise so far. It's based off of the Japanese video game Resident Evil, and I've got a lot of homework to do this year to catch up with these long-running franchises. Do we love Resident Evil? It seems like people do, yeah? It looks like this newest movie is going to be inspired by and take place in the universe, but be its own story and not follow a specific plot line in the video game. Interesting idea. Going into October, there are only 2 horror movies that I've seen talked about so far, and both of them are based on books. Love to see it. Other Mommy comes out on October 9th, which is based on the book Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman. This book was very popular, and I saw it talked about a lot, but when I started reading it, I personally couldn't get into the story because it was being told from the perspective of like an 8-year-old. Sorry. Maybe I'll give it another shot because I know people love this book. The book follows an 8-year-old named Bella who is traumatized by her parents' rocky relationship and tormented by a spirit haunting her house that she calls Other Mommy, hence the name for the movie. The cast looks great, including Jessica Chastain and Karen Allen. This one definitely has potential. If you've read the book, let me know. Is it worth reading? Should I just wait for the movie? October 23rd, Remain comes out, which is based on the book co-written by M. Night Shyamalan and Nicholas Sparks. I feel like this team-up is like when 2 unlikely animal friends become friends, like a snake becomes best friends with a bunny rabbit. I kind of love it. Remain takes place in Cape Cod and is described as a supernatural love story about a depressed architect and a mysterious woman he meets at a bed and breakfast. What are the chances she's actually a ghost or a time traveler? Don't tell me. I haven't read the book. Again, should we book club this or do we wait? November is looking pretty dry as far as horror films go. Hopefully something fills that slot. We don't have any current releases. Heading into December, we get Violent Night 2 starring David Harbour as our favorite scary Santa. I saw some discussion about the first Violent Night that it's not a horror movie, which I get. It's a very action-packed thriller, but I feel that it fits into the horror category because of how creatively disturbing some of the kills are in the first one. They definitely keep up with many of the modern slasher movies we've seen in the last couple of years, so I feel like it can stay in the horror family, you know what I mean? No specific plot points for Violent Night 2, but we know it will be Christmas, and more importantly, David Harbour will be there, so. And then finishing 2026, keeping the monster theme, we get another film that is sure to be gorgeous and moody, Robert Eggers' Werewolf. New tradition proposal. Every Christmas, Robert Eggers has to give us a period piece drama, gothic horror about a classic monster. Werewolf is bringing back Aaron Taylor Johnson, Willem Dafoe, Lily Rose Depp, and Ralph Ineson. The only person missing from this lineup is our guy Bill Skarsgård. Okay, maybe we should do a part 2 of this where I can find horror movies that are going straight to streaming. What's Shudder getting into for 2026? Tubi, what do you got? Let me know which of these movies you're the most excited for and which franchise should I prioritize my homework for to get ready for this year.